on Sunday at long last. And, these are very key players who, and of course, we then didn't have Mark playing on Saturday either. And the point is, Oliver Glasner would have known, he knew Mark Gay was going to go. And what does a club do? Now, I think the board have made mistakes, of course. It's not all one way. But I think to blame them for that, he knew that Mark was going to go. If we waited till the summer, after the end of the season, he'd have no value because his contract's gone, so he would go free. Football clubs are a business. Palace are not one of the great rich clubs, although we do have 3 billionaire owners. But there's only so much you can do with that money, as Newcastle know. They've got trillionaire owners, but they can't buy all the players they want because of these financial rules that limit clubs to their turnover and things like that. So for him, so in other words, any club like Palace, if an offer comes in the window before the contract runs out, and in this case it was 20 million, which is a giveaway fee for Mark Gay, but 20 million quid, a business, a club, don't sneeze at. So you understand why, and we all knew Mark Gay was going to go. He made his intentions clear. He was a great player, great captain, and he's a great loss to us. He really is. But for Glasner to sort of weaponise that, I don't really understand. He knew that he was going to go, probably in January, in the same way he knew Eze was going to go, because Eze made it quite clear. What it brings into focus, Cuz, I think, is the way the Premier League is structured, in the sense that, if you remember, 3 or 4 years ago, the top 6 clubs wanted to go off on their own. And they were quick, do you remember that, to have a Super League? And they were sort of squashed by the Premier League, and probably for the best. But actually, there are 2 or 3 different leagues within the Premier League. Now, it's the top 6, maybe 7, and then it's the remaining 14, 13 teams. Because the stark reality is, and fans don't always understand this, but I think now people will, is that those 13 or 14 also ran clubs are feeder clubs. Whether we like it or not, players who get transferred to those clubs, because you can find good players abroad or in the lower leagues. We did that with Elise and Eze. We nurtured them up to be the players they were. What happens? They both had insisted on release clauses, so that if a club offers a given amount, I think in Elise's case it might have been 65 million, similar for Eze. Once a club offers that, even if they've got a long time of the contract to go, they've got to release them. And when a player wants to go, they go. It's as simple as that. And what happens is, and also if one of those 13 or 14 Premier League clubs dares to cross that line below which they are expected to stay and win a major trophy, or God forbid, like Leicester, the league, boy, do they suffer for it, because they immediately after that they get picked off. The better players all get picked off. Look what happened to Leicester, who incredibly won the Premier League in 2016. The next season they sacked Ranieri, the manager. Most of their good players were picked off. I mean, Vardy chose to stay, and he was a talisman goal scorer, but Arsenal wanted him, so he could easily have gone there had he wanted to go. And of course, they then, where are they now? They're in the Championship. And this is what happens. You can see other teams. Wigan won the FA Cup a few years ago. Where are they? Portsmouth won the FA Cup. 2008, was it? Something like that. Where are they? They've been down to League One, certainly. So this is what happens. If the lower clubs, the 14 also ran clubs, if they dare to take a trophy off of one of the top 4 or 5, they get punished for it. And of course, look at Palace. We won that trophy. We had a great time to be a Palace fan. And then even in the summer, apparently Glasgow wouldn't say whether he would sign another contract when it ended the end of this season. But what he said the other day was he told Steve Parish, the CEO, in October that he wasn't going to sign a contract. Since then, both Parish and Glasner, when asked by the press in the press conferences about, are you going to stay, Mr. Glasner, Oliver, are you going to sign a contract? Well, we're not. We haven't had time because of the European games as well to even discuss it. But we'll be sitting down in mid-January to decide. So of course, all the fans think, well, yeah, we really want him to stay after what he's achieved, and looking forward to the mid-January and the beginning of the window. We buy Brennan Johnson, who I think is a good player, 35 million, I think. But no one since. I think there's one in the wind at the moment, but we think, don't the club want to keep Oliver Glasner? And then, of course, after the weekend, when he did this outburst, which the club were not aware he was going to make, it's quite clear that they've known since October he's not going to stay. So are they looking for a new manager? You know, who knows what they're doing. But why would Oliver Glasner, because he's moaned about this window, he's been abandoned, not got the players, why would the club, in fairness to them, have started buying more players? They bought Johnson, but why would they have bought another 2 or 3 players, which is what Glasner said he needed, 3 or 4 players, knowing he was going? And so you can't necessarily buy players for another manager who's still to come. So it's a complete mess. And a huge anticlimax in a way to the great events of last season. A lot of people, a match of the day I noticed on Saturday night, the pundits, Alan Shearer and Rooney and the guy, Mark Chapman, they all said, yeah, there's no way Glasner after that outburst can be at Palace's home game on Sunday, this coming Sunday, against Chelsea. But since then, it looks like the club are making him see out his contract. So it's going to be very, because normally when Oliver walks past us, I mean, I'm fairly near to the front in the main stand, he walks past us and yeah, everyone claps him, and he's very, very popular and the crowd sings songs about him. Interestingly, they didn't do that on Saturday at Sunderland. I don't know whether there were things in the wind that they knew about, but very unusual. And I hope he's not booed. I mean, that will be wrong, I think, if he's booed, because people shouldn't forget what he has done for Palace. But I don't think people will be, eulogising about him, because I think there's a feeling he has let us down. And by all accounts, without knowing all the facts, it wasn't dissimilar to his previous 2 clubs, that there came a point where he kind of lost interest and wanted out. Just the last thing to say.